Welcome to WagerTalk TV. I am Kelly Stewart, joined today by Marco D'Angelo at Marco in Vegas and Ralph Michaels at Kel Sports LV. Make sure you're giving both these guys a good follow. Ralph has got tons of data. Every time I log into Twitter, he's got all the good stuff. And Marco basically just stole my Twitter name. So I don't have anything good to say about that one. Penn State, guys. What happened to Penn State last week? We got taken to overtime by Appalachian State. The whole world is now overreacting. Line comes out. Penn State minus 9.5 over the Pittsburgh Panthers. Everybody jumps on Pitt and now says, okay, this line's 8.5. I like primetime home dogs. This is going to be one of those scenarios. But I also hate when everybody loves the dog that is a kiss of death to me. Marco, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm going to not make people happy again. I don't like my hometown Panthers here. The one thing I will say, this is a rare night game for Pitt in prime time. That doesn't happen a lot unless it's a Thursday night game on ESPN. So that crowd's going to be jacked up for Saturday night. So that's probably worth a point in the line. But Penn State, I just got to figure they were looking ahead. This is such a big rivalry. We haven't had this rivalry for how many years? They brought it back. This will be the third year back with it. And if you remember when they brought it back the first year, 2 years ago at Pitt, Penn State was getting throttled in that game. They made a late run, but it was that game that they lost that inevitably cost them their shot at the national championship because they deemed that as a bad loss to Pitt.
That was, 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Last year they covered, Pitt covered again, yeah. So
Pitt didn't cover. They were hanging in it the whole way, but Penn State put a late touchdown on.
Yep, they did put it up. Okay. I remember because I was on Pitt, and I was like, oh, here we go, backdoored.
So for this one here, I think Penn State was looking ahead, pure and simple. And I think they kept it vanilla, their offense, against Appalachian State, not to show what they were going to do. I mean, this is life without Barkley. So now everybody is jumping and saying, oh, Penn State, they're in a world of trouble. No, they're loaded. They're just fine. We'll see them on Saturday.
Ralph, you look like you're going to disagree with Marco.
Of course he is.
I'm sort of sick to my stomach because I'm agreeing with Marco.
Oh, it was a look of agreement. Okay, so
I'm like, oh my God, what's happening here? All right, I actually do, and you know, there's a couple things that's going to happen. I don't know if they looked ahead or not, but you got to remember, Penn State lost 8 of their top 10 defenders, so getting outgained against Appalachian State is one of two things. It's either a bad sign or it's just a wake-up call, and I think it's the latter. I think it was the wake-up call. It was the defense having to play with many new defensive starters, learning some different schemes this year with the personnel they have. They still put up 450 yards, and listen, Appalachian State is better than a lot of Power 5 teams. You know, they're the best team in the Sun Belt by far. They have a nice history. And I'm not so sure that Pittsburgh's going to have that much of a huge edge. I'm sure the Penn State fans are going to be there in force, being early in the season, being nice warm weather, being out there. And this is, again, you now have Barkley being gone 1 year, but you have the situation where you have Penn State off that game where it's, okay, we survived. It was an overtime game. People think we're not as good as we are, and I think that's a rallying point for the team. And I think coaches prefer to have a game like that early in the year to say to your guys, look, you've talked how good you are. You thought you could beat Ohio State and win the Big Ten East. You know, you guys thought you're a potential championship team. Well, again, reality knocked on the door in the name of App State, and I think they bounce back, and I think they take care of Pittsburgh. I have them as by far the better team, and, you know, my power rating in this game is 11, and with the situations that happened, I actually favor them by a little more than that.
So even just to touch on what Marco said, because something I like to take into a little bit of consideration, the home field advantage, you don't think it will necessarily favor Pitt because it's going to be so much as not necessarily an even game population-wise, but also saying that it's one of those scenarios where you're in this huge NFL stadium and it's going to just be rocking for both sides.
Well, I think I have Pitt, one of my lowest home edges. I think I have them 2, and I'm okay with that. But I was disagreeing with Marco saying it's worth 1.5 points more than that. I don't know if that's what he was saying.
I was saying it's worth a point for being a primetime home game. I agree with you that Pitt's home field advantage on a normal game, I would agree. You don't give them a 3-point home field advantage because that stadium generally is never filled.
Right, that's what I was trying to get at.
I was a season ticket holder there, and I know that. But when you have a game like this, Everybody's going to be there. Yes, there will be enough Penn State people there because of the proximity and making the drive in, but it's still going to be a big Pitt fan base.
Yes, it's familiarity, and you know, there's no bigger home edge in college football than we talked about. On the flip side, when Penn State's at home for the whiteout at night, I mean, that's 2 or 3 or 4 points more than their normal day game. So completely agree with that thought. I think Penn State will bring it. We know Penn State with their whiteouts, how well they play, and they're excited to play a night game too on national TV. So it gets them their respect back this week.
Good stuff, guys. Each and every Monday, get daily pick packages for just $9. This includes any 5% best bets normally priced at $30.